我们非常高兴能够邀请到美国的债券大师 Dan Foss 来到我们节目，这真的是非常非常难得的机会哦。我有好多问题要问他哦，比如说全球化啦、地球暖化啦，甚至我们现在大家非常关心的就是中美贸易战的问题哦。所以现在我们就请 Dan 跟大家打个招呼 ，Say hi to everyone for me.
Hi.
You know, when I know I'm going to talk to you, I'm dying to ask you this question, okay? Because I have this question for so long. I don't think anybody can answer me this. You are probably the only person that I met nowadays. I'm serious because, you know, after Trump got elected, and then in UK we have Johnson, right? So we see a lot of right-wing leaders playing a very important roles in the political world right now. So I have to see, because you know, even from the economy point of view, I think they are toward protectionism. It's very, I think it's very clear they are towards that direction. So I'm just wondering, the globalization that we have been so used to in the past 70 years, what do you think would happen to it? Because a lot of time, I think with all this going on right now, I do wonder, maybe we are seeing the end of it?
I share your wonder. I think in the U.S., there is a clear division within the party of the right, the Republicans. You have the center-left Republican, center-right Republicans, center-left Democrats. Put the two together, you've got about 2/3 of the total. In the UK, you've got a touch more. In Spain, the center-left and center-right, it shifted towards the right, but the center, those two parties, have the majority of the vote. They're about 55% now. They used to be about 53. But the shift has been going, in that case, it's been shifting. Now, you also have a huge age distribution within there. And it's also, in the case of the U.S., it's regional. For example, the Northeast would be called center-left in the big cities and further left away from the big cities. In Massachusetts, where I live, the city of Boston is center-left with some of the further, very few on the right.
Okay.
Far left is where Elizabeth Warren is from. Now, in the UK, I think Boris Johnson, my input, and I am not there, but my input, who I trust, is saying, well, Boris still has the conservatives because they need him. In the US, Trump is losing the broader support on the edges, and the edges are closing in, of the Republicans. Not strong enough, not willing to take the risk of breaking with the president. Mitt Romney has. A few others have. The governor of Massachusetts, a Republican, has said, want nothing to do with that. And there's a strong anti-Trump movement. If the national vote was taken and Joe Biden were the nominee, Joe Biden would win by a margin of approximately the same margin that, he would win by about 3 million votes.
Okay.
Which is the same margin that Hillary actually won the popular vote, but did not win the electoral vote.
Yes.
Which is antique, but it was put together to balance states' rights with national rights in the Constitution. It's no longer fairly representative, but it's there. So Trump's entire, I'm getting a little off topic.
Yes, please come back faster.
All right, I'll come back.
Yeah.
If the extreme left wins, Trump wins.
Mm-hmm.
If they nominate who they want.
Okay. Are we talking about Elizabeth Warren?
Yes,
okay.
or Bernie Sanders, but he's probably not going to be the nominee. I think currently it's only the center, because that could beat Trump.
Okay.
Because of the key states.
Oh my God, okay.
Yeah, oh my God is my response on this. And I get good input from these areas. Now, in the UK, I don't know. I couldn't make that kind of guess.
Okay, so but from your logic, you are saying that if we consider Trump as the center, all right, that's that according, that what
Trump is Trump.
All right.
He's a party of himself.
But let me finish my question. I mean, when if we said that 2020 Trump won the election, are we saying that? But go back to my question. The globalization, are we seeing that it's going to be deterring more than what we are seeing now?
If Trump stays in office and his policies are followed to some degree, they're not completely followed at this time, the trend against globalization continues. It used to be all towards globalization. Globalization has been excellent for the economies of the world. There's a more serious issue that ties into globalization. We have to have a globalized approach to climate change.
Yes, we'll get to that later. But do you think Trump and this right-wing politician would be capable of ending globalization? Do you think they are capable
They're
of that?
They're damaging it. I don't think they can end it.
So I would take it a good sign for me, because it's a relief. Actually, because I have been really worried about it. I think they might really kill it.
I don't think they will. There's so many non-governmental pressures towards globalization. I will admit that current espoused government policy, stated government policy, makes it very difficult for people who want to reach out. I'm very well aware of that. But I also am very well aware that there are ways to go forward anyways. If national policy becomes strongly against globalization, then we'll retreat within walls.
Okay, but we are not seeing that yet, right? This is not. We are not seeing that yet.
And within Trump's own staff, there have been a number of people working quietly to moderate some of these things and to try to build specific one-on-one globalization things. You have to do it on a broader basis. It has to be multinational.
Okay. All right, so multinational. So I'm going to move to my second set of questions, okay? It's about, of course, the trade war. I think this is like on everybody's mind nowadays, okay? So this trade war has been going on for so long, and then I always say that, China and United States are like an odd couple. They don't like each other, but they stay together. They have a lot of kids, but now they want a divorce, okay? And then so all the kids suffer, like Huawei, Apple, everybody suffer. We as investors, I think we suffer too, all right?
Yes.
So what do you think would happen? I mean, do you think Trump is really serious about this divorce?
Yes.
He is. Okay, so let's say 2020, Trump got reelected. So are we going to see a total break off from China? Is that possible? Is that even possible?
It's possible. Trade war is one symptom of war. It's one battle in a war. It's one area of a much broader. Are you familiar with the concept of Thucydides' trap?
Not really.
What happens when the emerging power meets the established power? Thucydides was an old Greek historian who wrote about when Athens rose to meet Sparta. They both lost because they couldn't compromise. And it's the same with China. How? Let me ask a question. How are we ever going to stop the more rapid warming of the world without worldwide cooperation?
You can't.
You don't say. Now, to get that, we have to have the two strongest military powers say they want to stop it. We agree with China in no other way, which would make it a very weak agreement. Or we agree with China on trade. We don't agree with them on anything else than trade and controlling, slowing down the deterioration of the climate. The water level is going to rise anyways. Bill Gates is right on this. At least people at MIT think so. It's going to rise, but it can be stopped if you can stop the warming of the ocean. This takes years. We cannot have new coal plants being built in Poland. The European Union can't seem to control that. We should not have new plants, coal-burning plants, being built in Japan, of all places.
I'm still following you. You are saying that, without these two superpowers cooperating with each other, we cannot solve the climate change problem,
Correct.
right? Yeah. But still, my question is, but when Trump is in position, I don't see this happening. I don't see this kind of cooperation happening.
I agree.
So that's what, and then, so are we saying that if 2020 Trump got elected, we are going to see further breakaway from China?
I'm afraid so. Although Donald Trump is, from my view, I have never met him. I know people who did business with him, they can't stand him. A weird person.
All right.
You
really put it very mildly. Okay.
Well, and I don't mind talking about this. I'm giving a big speech to the CFA group in January, back in the U.S. I'm giving it in Wisconsin, a state that voted for Trump. And I'm sharing my views. Who is it with? A group of CFAs, Certified Financial Analysts. They're likely to agree. I'd like the Milwaukee Journal to print it. It may not be very popular, but
they are turning to.
Yeah,
they are.
They are. They are. I discovered that in Phoenix last week.
Yeah. So, but how far away would he be? Okay, I think the other question is that a lot of Americans are asking right now. Okay, Trump, you want to suppress China's rising from, you don't like that. So is that possible though? A lot of people are saying it's not possible. China is too powerful now. You cannot do that by yourself.
Well, stop trying to suppress. Start trying to agree and set limits for the U.S. and for China. Easier said than done. The lessons of history, the major study done on this over the last 5.5 centuries, has said one time out of 4, it succeeds in reaching agreement. And those have been very beneficial. Are they necessarily predictive? Not necessarily, because these countries had a lot in common to begin with. World War I. The King of England and the Kaiser were first cousins, or the king, or whatever they had, were first cousins. Queen Victoria was their grandmother.
Right.
So they had something in common. They just weren't able to control the extreme right in Germany in that example. There have been other cases like it. It is a long shot. I mean, this is not something, oh, well, this will pass. This is not going to pass unless we can find a way to successfully agree. And all the side issues that come from the U.S. and China pulling away. Now you've got South Korea and Japan arguing. Okay. You have other issues like that. At the same time, you have issues in Africa and other parts of the world where it's too hot to stay there, or the water is rising. Give it another 10 years and everybody in Bangladesh is going to have to live on a houseboat.
Yes, I do understand that.
And
yeah, it's just make it a lot worse.
Yeah, so that's our common thing that we have to deal with. All this other stuff is a going out of business risk if we can't focus on the big issues. Now, I'm preaching. People don't like preachers. I understand that. But this is a big deal. This is the biggest deal.
Then, I'm sorry, let me interrupt a little bit because I just want to see if I understand you correctly. So we are saying that, if U.S. and China cannot they have to find a common ground,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that we could move forward. No
Yes.
matter how big or small the agreement, we have to find agreement,
Yes.
right? But so far, do you see any, it seems so difficult because China has its concern, United States has its concern. Do you see we approaching a little agreement, the first, we are talking about the first phase, the phase one is, even that I think is a very small step. It's so hard. So are we really, what do you think is a possibility for us to reach an agreement on anything?
I think it is possible, and it's more possible than than it would appear on the surface, because within the State Department, within the business community, we want agreement. If you know people in the State Department, you'll discover that of the professional staff, not the four-year ambassadors, but with the professionals in the State Department, many of whom transfer between the State Department and the private sector and back. I know some of these people well. They are doing everything humanly possible at the risk of their own jobs and careers to maintain good ties in China. They also will argue. China has its serious flaws from our view. What's acceptable in China is not necessarily acceptable to the U.S. We have to push that stuff aside if we can.
That's the problem. Like the tariff, do you think...
Tariffs are bad. Tariffs
but
are
do
destructive.
But China want it reduced.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
but
do we.
do you think American would do it though?
Yes.
Do you think Trump would do it though?
No.
See, that's the problem here.
Well, you have to differentiate the person from the nation.
Well, but now he's calling the shots.
He is, with less and less and less support.
Okay.
I will also give a speech in Nebraska. Nebraska voted for Trump. The CFA Society did not. The farmers did. He made promises. He made promises to the farmers in Wisconsin. He's done the opposite. He has clobbered the farm community in the upper Midwest. You say, some people, oh, no, that wasn't Trump, that was the Chinese. Yes, it was the Chinese in response to the U.S. imposing tariffs elsewhere. It's very bad for China to have the tariffs. It is very bad for the United States to have tariffs. Now, some people in the United States want the tariffs because it's good to have a wall go up. They can stay in business, even though they're far less efficient. Most people in the U.S. don't want those tariffs. And it's highly frustrating to you, to me, and to others. And I sometimes feel like I'm shouting into a blizzard. Because over a year, 2 years ago, I was giving this speech. We can't go this way. It was very unpopular at that time. Now people say, oh, wonderful. Same speech.
So then, I want to know, how do you categorize your own investing style? Because I know you you want to do bungee jump. I heard about that.
Less than we used to, but more in a different circumstance.
Okay, and then you just told me that you used to be a pilot. I mean, you were in
no,
Navy.
I was in flight training, then
Yeah.
I got reassigned to an aircraft carrier.
Right.
Someday.
So it sounds like you are a person with, adventures, a lot of adventures desire,
My mother, God rest her, would agree with you.
Okay, so but how do you describe your own investment style? Because from how I see you, you seem to be able to take a lot of risk. Would you say that about yourself? Do you think it also reflects on your investment style?
Some people say I take a lot of risk.
You do, okay.
I don't.
You don't. People say you do, but you don't think so.
I don't think so at all. Right now, I'm the most cautious I've ever been, by far. It has people wondering. They say, this is not the Dan we know. Talk to some of the people I've known for 40-some years. I've managed their money. And they say, oh, no, this is Dan. This is what he does every once in a while. Is that risk-taking? Yeah, it's a risk. The major risk is a risk I really don't care about. But the marketing people care a lot about it. They say, well, you're being too cautious. You might lag the high-yield market. Yeah. Well, we still have a very nice return this year, way above normal. If we were more aggressive in credit, we could have a higher quoted value. Not necessarily achievable if you try to sell those things. So you have to, if you know the bus is likely to run into you, it's better to get out of the way in advance. I have that view of the markets right now.
Okay.
But we have enough variability in the account that if we start to suspect that the central bank is going to change posture and start to raise rates, we're okay. If we think they're going to go towards zero, then we'll be, with every spare penny, we'll have about a third of the portfolio in long U.S. Treasury bonds. We're that flexible. Now, who's risky?
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be careful on risk because there are many risks you take in this world. I can attest to having scars all over me, so I keep my shirt buttoned. You better know which risks you're taking, because no matter how you invest money, you're taking a risk in anything. Put it all in the bank, huge risk. Put it all in long U.S. Treasuries, risk-free. Oh, God, no. Major risk. Put it all in the highest yielding bonds. Spectacular risk. There is no riskless environment in this world.
Right. But then, from your career, you have a very long career.
Yes.
Time right now, I would say from a news point of view, I have been a reporter. I've been in news for almost 30 years. This is like
Since kindergarten?
You're too sweet. Okay. Yeah, I like you, okay? But yeah, I'm saying that in the past, I've been a reporter for 30 years. This is probably the time for us, news person, the most exciting time, because the world is changing so much. But for you, is this also a time of challenge too? Great challenge?
Oh, it's geopolitically.
Yes.
It's the riskiest I've seen in my lifetime. Well, in my adult lifetime.
The number one, the most risks.
Right. In the markets, it's not quite I'd say 1973 over the winter of 1973, early 1974 was the riskiest. Nobody agreed with me. I thought that was the riskiest time.
But now it's pretty, I mean, now you would say it's also
a very risky time in the markets. This would be the second most risky from a market view.
Okay.
Geopolitically, it's far and away the most risky. Environmental, it's far and away the most risky. Those are the risks that matter. In other words, if you see a risk coming at you, unless you do something, that's climate. We have to collectively stop the warming. There's no way any of us know yet, even those who have studied it very hard, as to how to reverse it very much, if at all. There may be, maybe 37 volcanoes will all explode at once and we'll have global freezing.
Yeah, I get you. But I think they really want me to wrap up. I think I enjoyed the talk very much.
So did I. I give you a hard time. I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. But I do wish that we could have more time, maybe in the future. Because I think, global warming, yes. I just did a story on Venice. And then 2 days ago, I did a story on Australia. 2 days ago, I did a story on California. So I do share your concern very much.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I should let you go. So I will see you later this afternoon, I think, again.
Yes.
So I will be on the stage with you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, that's so we are going to talk more.
I look forward to it.
Me too.
And when you come to Boston,
I will look you up. I
All right.
promise. I will.
All right.
Okay.